Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to Wilder Woman. Cory here. And if you're new, hello, Merry Meet. Welcome. We're so glad to have you here. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about something that's been on my mind for a while, and that's spiritual integration. I don't really have another term for it. But essentially what it is because this happens to me a lot, it's the habit of falling into the trap of being the eternal student, going out and seeking information, learning a new technique, learning a new modality, learning a new piece of magic, only to just kind of, store it in your memory bank and not actually put it into practice or put it into practice regularly, right? Sometimes we get really excited about a new topic that we're learning about, and we're really in it while we're learning it. And then, once that class or that course or that book is finished, things kind of tend to fall apart. Now, this isn't for everybody, obviously. Most of the time, folks will be able to integrate what they've learned, quite nicely into their everyday life. I'm primarily speaking about witchcraft modalities, pieces of magic. So learning craft, a new piece of craft, and then not putting that into practice. And again, this isn't going to impact everyone, but it happens to me quite a lot. So if, this is ringing any bells for you, this video is for you. Just kind of want to chat about it because, again, it's been something that's been on my mind quite a lot, especially with regards to the depth year and my attempt at doing a depth year. And all of the depth year videos that I've seen from other folks, having a hard time breaking those habits, getting off track and wanting to learn something new because they want that inspiring spark. And I really first noticed this when I was taking a lot of classes around 2012 and 2013. My practice had been pretty solid in what it was for several years at that point. And it had been a number of years since I had even attended a public ritual. I was pretty solitary in my practice, very eclectic. I would get a new book every once in a while. I would really dive into it and, integrate pieces pretty solidly. But around 2012 and 2013, I had this period where I was taking class after class after class with hardly any time in between to really integrate what I had learned and find a spot for it in my practice. So to give you an example, I had taken a class on making a witch's rune set. Sat down there, wrote 3 or 4 pages of notes, really detailed, had so much fun making the rune set, had this gorgeous new tool to take home and practice with. Can I tell you, I did not pick up that set for almost 2 years after that class. It sat in a drawer. And it wasn't until I pulled out my notes from it that I was like, shit, I have this tool set. I need to start using it. So, at that point, this was probably 2015, right? Bust out the set, start working with it. Lo and behold, it gets pushed off to the side because I had started taking other classes. And then in early 2016, got a crystal healing certification. All these things, again, more classes, more books, things start piling up. And another 2 years passed and I hadn't touched that rune set. You guys. I'm embarrassed to even be admitting it, but I can't believe that I'm the only one that has this problem. least I hope I'm not the only one that has this problem. If you have this problem, please raise your hand, leave a comment below, and let me know that I'm not alone in this, because holy smokes, the level of guilt at having taken that class, written those notes, gone through the trouble of, learning this new modality, only to not practice with it and integrate it into my memory bank and really make it a part of my practice. I think about all the things that I could have been doing with that rune set. I could have been really working with the symbols in ritual, learning about them, their meaning, adding my own meanings to each symbol, using the symbols to anoint candles, carve into candles for spellcraft, to make charm bags, to create brand new sigils out of those runes, to just the number of possibilities that ran through my head the second time I picked up that bag after a 2-year dry spell was just unreal. And over the last 2 years, that's really been a focus on my mind is, how many other things have I taken classes on and then not followed through with really integrating it into my practice? And how much more could my practice be enriched had I taken the time to integrate those things? Now, there's a lot of things that I've learned that wouldn't have, probably won't fit into my practice as it stands today. There are several classes that I took in 2012 and 2013, and over the last 6-7 years since then, that looking at the person that I am today and how my practice has evolved wouldn't have fit. I might have integrated them, realized they weren't necessarily for me, and then, pushed them off to the side and said, okay, that's not for me. I'm going to let that one go. But I don't even know how it would have integrated, if it could have integrated and worked well with my practice, because I didn't give it a shot. I didn't bother trying to integrate it to begin with. And I just wonder what I've lost out on with that. And again, these are just kind of, internalized thoughts that I'm bringing to the surface just to see if anybody else has had similar thoughts. And so I think I want to reboot going deep, not necessarily doing just a depth year as a traditional depth year, but at least taking the rest of 2019 to go deep, to look at things that had once caught my eye that I have maybe taken one class on or read one book on, made some notes here, made some notes there, but didn't really fully integrate with. And part of this desire is also coming from the work that I'm doing on Patreon with the folks who are part of the, dedicant tier, where we're going deep with deity and we're doing these deep dives. And I'm really working with Frere almost on a daily basis now, where I'm touching base with him and finding new ways to challenge myself and really connect to him and his energy and feel gratitude for the blessings that he's given me in my life. And also, just allowing myself to be in awe of the magic that he has at his fingertips, that he's teaching me. Frere's been my patron god since 2015. And this is the most raw and real I've gotten with him since I first started working with him. It has been almost 4 years since the last time we really dug deep on certain issues. And that makes me sad. It makes me, elated that I'm putting in that work now. But I wonder again, how much time did I lose by not focusing on it? This is my patron god. And how he must feel to have someone claiming to be his daughter and not working with him in the capacity of just, treating him more like an estranged family member, a cousin you see every, 2 years at the reunion, and not an actual father figure, which is how our relationship is. It's not how everyone's relationship is with their patron, but that's how our relationship has been from the beginning. So like I said, I think I want to take the rest of 2019 to kind of reaffirm going deeper with my craft practices and really practicing what I learn, giving it a shot. Even if it turns out that wasn't really for me, I tried. I didn't just take the notes after the class and then file them away on a bookshelf and not think about them again for 2 years. Cutting out those bad habits that I've developed and really actually integrating the spiritual and magical lessons that I'm learning. So I've decided that when I look for a new class, here are some things that I'm going to ask myself and really ask myself honestly and answer honestly. Number 1, how interested am I in this topic? And will it hold my attention for longer than a month? That one's really important for me because there are so many instances where, I'll at first get really excited about something like, ooh, that's intriguing. I'll read about it in a blog post. Someone will post a video about it. I'll listen to it, kind of fall down a rabbit hole for a few hours, maybe buy a book on it, not finish the book, not read it all the way through, or I'll take a class and be like, that's nice, and file everything away in Dropbox. And then, next month it's on to the next thing. So I really want to look at, when it comes to signing up for a new class or a new course or a new whatever, how interested really am I in the subject matter? Is it just because it's new and shiny? Or is this something that's kind of been buzzing around in the back of my head for a while and I just haven't had an opportunity to really dive deep into that subject matter? And then, will I use the information or skill that I'm learning? Do I have room to use it? Is it practical for me to use that? Okay. Is it something that's going to fit in nicely with the practice that I already have? I have a lot of divination tools at my disposal. At this point in time, it doesn't really make sense for me to go out of my way and learn something entirely new because my brain right now doesn't have the capacity to add in a brand new system. Just going to be really, really real with myself about that. I don't have it in me. But I do have it in me to, perfect. Tarot's been a huge love of mine for decades. Taking this 22-week workbook with Benabel Wen's Vitruvian edition, Spirit Keepers Tarot. This lovely, gorgeous deck, that I have at my disposal. And, using this notebook, this workbook that she created, oh my God, poured her heart and soul into. This is huge, by the way. And dive into that for 22 weeks. I have that capacity, as opposed to running out and going, let me learn this brand new, I don't know, color-coded divination system. My word. This I do have. And being real with myself about what I have the capacity for and what's really going to hold my interest. And will I use this information? Absolutely. I'm a professional tarot reader. Doing a tarot workshop for 22 weeks makes perfect sense. Running out and, buying an I Ching set and learning that only to not just, integrate it anywhere into my practice doesn't make sense. At least not right now. In 3 years, who knows? Maybe everything will shift and I'll have room to really dive into something like I Ching or another new divination system, which would be amazing. But right now, my focus is on, my personal practice, what interests me, my business. Tarot is a really good topic to expand on because it touches all three of those. So if the class that I'm looking at, is about diving deeper into tarot, like, for example, me signing up and taking all of the courses available on Tarot Readers Academy, Tarot Summer School, Ethany's Tarot Readers Academy. Absolutely. I take that every year. I'm a part of that. I have access to those courses for life, so I can revisit them as well whenever the need arises. And it takes me deeper into a practice that I've already been doing for, 18 plus, give or take, years now. That makes a lot more sense because that is information that I will use. And then number 3, how do I plan on integrating this information or skill into my practice? So looking at the class, is this, if it's on a new subject, let me see, say this is a class specifically on Cornish witchcraft charms. Okay. How do I plan on integrating that into my practice? Do I have the room? Do I have the capacity? Do I have the tools at my disposal to really make these charms that I'm going to learn how to work with a part of my regular craft practice? Do I feel like learning this piece of magic would be really useful for someone like me and how I practice witchcraft right now, today? Not how I think my craft practice will look in, 3 or 5 years, but how I actually practice today. Does this make sense? Is this something that I'm really going to use? And how do I plan on using it? Getting that information together and being honest with myself about how I plan on using it. Big question I need to ask before I say yes and sign up for that class. And then the last question, do I have room to really dedicate the time and energy I need to learning this new information or skill? Is there space in my life right now, with everything that I have going on, with everything that I'm doing, to really practice and integrate this new skill or modality? Do I have the space to, going back to these, traditional Cornish witchcraft charms, this theoretical class, the class pops up. How much time do I really have to devote to learning and integrating this skill? Yes, it may fit into my witchcraft practice as it stands today. Yes, I may have a deep interest. Say I've wanted to learn, how to make, Cornish craft charms for 3 years now. This was the first time a class presented itself. But do I really have the time right now? Looking at everything that I have going on, is this something that I could fit in? Say I have a full-time job. I have a side business. I have to take the kids to soccer practice on Saturday. I, promised this, online study group that I'm a part of that I would do live meditations every Thursday at 2. If I have all of these things going on, where precisely am I planning to make room and fit in learning about and then creating, because remember, I want to integrate this information, traditional Cornish witchcraft charms, and being honest with myself about it. Because yes, it might be the right topic and it might be the right addition to my practice, but maybe it's not the right time. Maybe that time is 3 months from now when the soccer practice is over and those, meditations at 2 p.m. on Thursday, that series has wrapped up. And then I have the space to take that class and fit in, that new piece of craft that I'm learning and really dedicate time to it. Because being honest with myself and what I can handle is really important. The older I get, the more I realize the importance of saying no, not just to others, but to my own impulses. A lot of the times, I'll say, you know what, I need to sign up for that class because that's an act of self-care. I'm really interested in that. I deserve it. But am I really doing something for me when I know I don't have the capacity for it? When really after signing up, I'm just overwhelmed with the sheer volume of information coming my way. I don't make room for the time that I need to study it, to really digest the information, to break it down into practical pieces for myself, to integrate that skill into my current practice. I'm more doing myself a disservice in that area then by signing up for that class, because I made all the, right excuses for myself to say, yes, I need to sign up for that right this second. It might not be the right time. And in some cases, it may not even be the right class for me. I'm just saying, you know what, I want to sign up for this class because I want to support this creator, which is fantastic, but I could support that creator in other ways. The teacher of the course, it may not be the right course for me or the right time for me to take the course, but I can say, hey guys, this looks fabulous. I've taken other courses from this instructor. If you're interested in this, sign up. And then post that all over social media. Get the word out to other people. I could support them by continuing to read and share their work. Most folks in our community have multiple modalities of things. So like, for example, I have an online, go at your own pace, Pendulum practitioner course. I know not everyone's interested in pendulums, and not everyone is interested in really diving into pendulum work to the degree that I've presented it in that course, because that is like anything you could think of that you want to use a pendulum for, let's teach about it. Let's talk about it. Let's experiment with it. It's a really heavy course. And again, it's on a topic that a lot of folks may not necessarily be interested in. But you know what? If somebody wanted to support me, I have this YouTube channel. They could share videos. They could share about the course to other people who mention pendulums, and they say, you know what? I know somebody who has a really in-depth pendulum course available. You should go check it out if that's something you're interested in. Or, you know, retweeting tweets that I have about it, sharing blog posts that I've made, sharing my Etsy shop, booking a reading with me. You know, you may not be interested in working pendulums yourself, but I also have pendulum sessions available. So your favorite teachers and content creators, that's a good way to support them as well if you're in the same boat that I am, where you feel like you have to sign up for every class that they offer because they're a wonderful teacher and you love their work. But there are other ways that we can go about supporting them without signing up for every little thing and then kind of doing that knowledge and information a disservice by not really integrating it. So, you know, pretty much the last thing that I'm going to do is take an inventory of all the classes and skills that I've learned that I'm not using. And then, you know, write them down and check through that list. Is it time for me to brush up on those skills and really integrate it? Or does it make sense to stop pursuing knowledge of those skills? Like, okay, for example, those Witches' Runes sets. Really sitting with the set and thinking about either diving back into it and really putting the work in, or is this something that just really needs to be put on hold and I need to stop feeling guilty that I'm not that interested in it or not interested in pursuing it any further than that one class that I took? I had to do that with Reiki. You know, after 3 master attunements and still really feeling disconnected and frustrated that my experiences weren't the same as other Reiki practitioners, I got real honest with myself about, look, this is a modality that you're not syncing up with. Be honest about the fact that it's okay that Reiki isn't for you. Because it wasn't. It's just not for me. Does that mean it's not going to work for anybody else? Of course not. You see hundreds of practitioners online, and they're doing amazing shit, okay? But I felt like there was something broken with me because I wasn't able to really tune and sink in with this type of energy. That's okay. And I had to give myself permission to let that go. So if there's anything similar that's kind of hanging out there with you, I really recommend giving yourself permission to let it go. Just drop it. I started taking, you know, Reiki Master out of any title that I put in or any, you know, biography referencing Reiki in any way. After 4 years of trying to force it, I realized that's not for me. And I noticed that I'm getting quicker on picking up whether or not a topic or modality or piece of craft that I'm learning about just isn't for me. And it's great to know about it so that I can give that information to somebody else that's, you know, thinking about it. But then I have half a dozen awesome Reiki masters that I can say, if you want to learn more about it, you should go check so-and-so out. And I want to do that with the rest of the pieces of craft that I've, you know, have taken all of these courses on since 2012 in particular. That's like the real big benchmark of when I started going ham on all of these classes. But going back through my notebooks and saying, is this something that I really will use, that I'm interested in? No? Okay. Setting it aside. Is this something I'm really interested in and I will really use? Yes, absolutely. Okay. It's time to dust it off and dive into it. and really, really integrate it. We always want to keep learning and growing because, you know, no one ever gets to the point where they're just, I'm good, I don't need to know anything else. I mean, it's just the human condition to want to constantly evolve and grow, I think. But we can really only grow if we actually integrate what we learn, right? And put that knowledge into practice to walk our talk, if you will. And I think really after 7 months of flailing around and, you know, yes, I was derailed by a car accident. Yes, a lot of other things have come up for me, but I think that really only served to just drive the point home that my version of a depth year and that my needing to go deeper, particularly with craft, has to do with all of these classes and really using the skills that I've learned over the years, and just to kind of slow down and back up and dive more into these skills and this information and working with it, just fucking working with it. You know, at the end of the day, that's the point, is to actually work with what works for you. So, woo! Knocking over wands over here, folks. Anyway, that was my long rambling rant about spiritual integration and where I am with regards to this whole depth year thing. This is kind of a weird combination, kind of a combo of a tangent and a rant and, you know, I guess a depth year update, but more so a chat about spiritual integration and a problem I see with how I've been practicing the last several years and really wanting to change that. You know, obviously there are a lot of things that I have integrated, but I've studied probably 4 times more than what I've actually put into practice. And it's time for me to stand up to myself and, you know, rein that, you know, Virgo drive in to just fucking know everything and actually use the pieces of information that I've learned and just putting that knowledge into practice. I hope that you guys got something out of this, you know, long rambly rant. I hope that wherever you are having a fabulous, fabulous day. I would love to hear your thoughts on spiritual integration, or whatever you call it. That's just the phrase that came to mind for me. And for those of you that are, you know, diving into your depth year and still going strong, I applaud you wholeheartedly. You have my admiration. And keep going. Just keep freaking going. Even if you fall off the wagon, keep at it, because there is something there. For me, it just looks a little bit different. And I might revisit a traditional depth year fairly soon. But right now, my focus really needs to be turned towards this issue in particular and how it relates to my craft practice. All right, loves. I cannot wait to catch you in the next video. But until then, blessed be.